warm hello to everyone. For my reflection today, I'd like to say a few words about the feast we celebrate on the second day of February. It's the feast of the presentation of Jesus in a temple. It's 40 days after his birth. And according to the law of Moses, a firstborn son was to be consecrated to the Lord 40 days after his birth. So Mary and Joseph made the trip to Jerusalem to present Jesus to the Lord. They were just an ordinary couple with an ordinary looking baby. And what they were doing was also a very ordinary ritual that Jewish parents had been practicing for hundreds of years. This was Jesus' first visit to the temple in Jerusalem. But this particular day, something extraordinary was happening in the temple. Two elderly people who had longed to see the Messiah were drawn to the temple. Simeon had seen hundreds of young couples presenting their babies to the Lord. But how did he know this one was special? When Mary and Joseph entered the temple with the baby Jesus, Simeon saw God. How did he know this? Luke tells us that Simeon was promised he would see the Messiah before he died. And it was the Holy Spirit who revealed to him that this ordinary-looking baby was the long-awaited Messiah. And in a beautiful prayer of praise, he thanks God for letting him see the Messiah. And now he was ready to die in peace. Somehow, the other elderly person, the prophetess Anna, also recognized the mystery of God at work in Jesus. All this should remind us, too, that we were presented and consecrated to the Lord on the day of our baptism. It reminds me of the times I baptized a child during Mass on a Sunday. Right after the baby was baptized, I would hold this child high and ask the people to welcome this new child of God into our community. And a church full of people applauded this new member. Then I would take the child up and down the aisle and introduce him or her to the people. Some would sign the baby on the forehead as I walked by. Others would reach out and touch the child. For my part, I would wonder, what is the child going to become? And this latest miracle of God, what would he or she accomplish for our world? We have no idea how children's lives will turn out. Some people choose not to have children because of the mess our weary world is in. Our world has had one war after another. Famine is happening all too often, and there are too many people living below the poverty level. Yet God keeps sending us babies. This has to be a sure sign that God cares and is with us. This feast of the presentation of Jesus tells us that children deserve to have a future. And we have to provide a good future for them. We need to hear such a message of hope and encouragement And thank God we have the example of some of our elderly people, the example of faith and hope shown us that God is still in charge of the world, no matter how much evil is in it. Simeon had been waiting for the Messiah for some time, and Anna had been looking for this Messiah day and night for years. Their faith was rooted in the promises of God. It was not an empty faith, but a faith powerfully inspired by the Holy Spirit. It was a faith in God who alone can bring salvation to us. Theirs is a faith we would do well to imitate. God bless you and your families.